everyone. My name is Viera Karam, and I work as a business advisor at BusinessOulu, and I mainly specialize in the clients coming from the international community of Oulu. And I was born and raised in Ukraine, but because my dad is Lebanese and my mom is Ukrainian, I kind of had life on in between two countries. So even though I mostly relate to Ukraine and Ukrainian culture, I've always visited Lebanon every year if I had a chance, and I would spend their time, summertime with my family there, with my cousins, many uncles and aunts, and enjoyed that culture as well. Well, actually, even though I grew up in Ukraine, I could always kind of feel that I'm a little bit different from other kids. I always was a little bit more emotional, a little bit more, I don't know how to say that, but my reactions were different from the kids in my class, for example. So yeah, I could always feel that there is like a small difference, like of how I feel compared to other kids in that were surrounding me. And so, yeah, whenever I came to Lebanon, I actually felt like, oh, okay, like these are the faces I can relate to. These are the emotions I can relate to. These are that's the culture I fit really well into. But of course, coming from a different culture, actually, growing up in Ukraine, I could also notice um, some maybe like pros and cons of each culture and kind of take in what I appreciate from each the most and try to incorporate them in myself and in my life. I also learned that I think since childhood, actually, I've learned that there is definitely more than one perspective to an issue. Because, coming to Lebanon, Lebanese people have their own perspective or prejudice towards Ukrainians. And I know that Ukrainians are not necessarily that way, and then, going to Ukraine and knowing that, for example, people even don't know about Lebanon or where Lebanon is, while I knew how beautiful that country is, how important that country is to me at least, and well, to the Middle East and to the world. I think the most significant experience actually in my childhood was one year when I had a chance to go and study in Lebanon. That was an incredible experience. Well, first of all, just coming from from one educational system into a completely different one. Also coming into the classroom with different kids and different surroundings, different culture in the classroom itself. So that was great. That was also the time when I started dedicating more time to languages. So the summer before I entered the school year in Lebanon, I been actively studying with a tutor French and Arabic, and those were my first touches of those languages. And then I already knew a little bit of English, so when I entered the school, I was studying in English while also learning more Arabic and French. I think I've always been attracted to languages in general. Probably that comes from my like very early childhood when I was actually, still in Lebanon, and I was like maybe younger than 3 years, and I was surrounded by like really a lot of languages. My dad would speak to me in English. My grandma would speak to me in French because that's a more like a let's say, a more elitist language in Lebanon, and some families try to be, like more fancy and speak to their children in French. That I would have, Arabic just surrounding me in Lebanon, and then my grandma from Ukraine, who's also living there, she would speak to me Ukrainian language because that's the language that like elderly people at that time would speak in Ukraine, and then my mom would speak to me in Russian. So I think being just surrounded by so many languages and hearing so many languages at the same time really nurtured that love for language in me. So yeah, and when I was choosing the place to study, um, I I already knew that I have in my baggage, Ukrainian language, Russian language, of course, and then English. So I didn't feel a need to go and study it more in the university, but I did think that languages could be beneficial in future. And since I already had a small my foot already in linguistics with Arabic and French from my secondary education, I thought that maybe I should go study Arabic, and that was my choice of education. And it was actually a very good one because while my major was Arabic language, my minor language was French. So I actually got to study both of them and enjoy both of those during my education. Yeah, and even though it turned out didn't turn out to be my specialty or my future work, specifically working with Arabic language, I'm okay with that. I actually love it. I think I realized that I don't want to be an translator or work as interpreter at maybe third year or second year of studying in the university, and that pushed me to look for other options, that pushed me to look for basically looking for education abroad, looking for other programs that are interesting to me, trying to find job in Ukraine at that time. So yeah, while I enjoyed my studies and I enjoyed really doing my bachelor's thesis and then later master thesis as well, I'm very grateful because I that pushed me to look for other interests. Well, as I said earlier, I was looking for different opportunities because I realized, okay, that the education I'm doing right now, I'm not really enjoying it as my future job. So I was looking for ways to take my education into something more productive for myself in future. And my classmate in Ukraine, he was applying for a master's degree in Oulu, and I just got curious and I got, asked him a lot of questions. What was the program about and how is he applying, and if I can have a look at the program myself. So it turned out to be Education and Globalization master's degree in the University of Oulu. I've never really had anything to do with Finland. And Oulu also wasn't the city that I knew by then. But the opportunity to take my education from the linguistics into social studies and to specifically into social studies in the education degree was um, really exciting because I got to experience myself different educational systems, coming from Ukraine, then going to Lebanon. So I thought that this could be really interesting research for me to do, an interesting program to study. So yeah, that really happened just by coincidence that I heard my classmate talk about it, then applied for that program, got in, did my interview. So yeah, that's basically how I got to come to Finland. Yeah, coincidence. Yeah, when I was a child, I was that type of child whose mom would take me to all the different sections and all the different extracurricular activities that there were there out there for me. I think the main one, of course, the one that my mom focused on was the languages. Why I speak English. She took me there to the to English class maybe from like when I was 3 years old. So that was a regular one, and then also she took me to music school. I think, as from the beginning, she actually wanted me to sing, but of course, a 3-year-old child is a bit too young to sing. But it's even too young to actually go to a piano class. But still, my mom took me to a piano class, and somehow my teacher agreed to take me in at that early age, and that was the journey of 11 years in the music school for me. So yeah, that was kind of like the main focus of my, let's say, my childhood, my life at that point. But it's interesting because I've never felt like that's going to be like I want to be a professional piano player. Many of my classmates were going to the same music school. They actually went on with their music careers and continued going to the conservatory and then higher education in music. But even though I had a chance, I just never considered that as a profession of mine. So yeah, I haven't been playing regularly, of course, piano. I think after 11 years, I was really quite sick of it. When you go to music school, always yearly, there are the let's say class exams that are done in a format of a small concert in front of your classmates, in front of the parents of your classmates, in front of your teacher and your parents. So um, I guess I would assume, I think it's fair to assume that my um, love for public speaking actually came out from those roots because my mom actually told me that when I was 3 years old, that was like the first exam concert that I had, and I had like a very small, simple like song to play and something, and I performed it. I stood up and I heard the applause, and I got so excited that I went back to the piano and played my song again to get some more applause. So yeah, I imagine that that's where my love for public speaking comes from. And also, not only that, but also my teacher was actually an incredible teacher, music teacher, because she would take me and my classmates for trips to different international festivals where we would also perform. So we would go to Hungary, to Turkey, to Spain, to Slovenia, and we would, participate in these um, festivals there, music, dance festivals. So I actually had a much bigger audience as well to perform to. And yeah, I think that comes from there. And then I think later on, when I already was like a teenager, I started asking my music teacher to let me host those concerts. So I started not only to perform, but also to be a host and welcome, the parents to the concerts and say the introduction speech and say the goodbye speech. From there, I took it to the university level. At university, I got to host a few times a competition, a beauty competition in the university. But then, yeah, more and more I realize that that's what I really enjoy doing. I think the nerves that I get are really making my brain work hard and squeeze out of me like a very clear speech or like a some funny joke that I wouldn't usually say in the ordinary life, let's say. But yeah, so I think that's where it got nurtured in the music school. But then I just realized that since music is not going to be my career, I'm not going to take it professionally, but that love for public, that love for, I guess, attention, some egoistic attention as well, is would take me to the hosts. And for a long time I actually thought that I want to be a host, or like a TV host, or a wedding host or something. So yeah. Good thing, good thing I didn't take it forward. I really understood or realized in the University of Ukraine first that I'm really enjoying being a host. And at the same time, when you know, when I kind of was looking for the ways to take this passion into something, I also found I was like a part of this project for a YouTube channel. So I got a chance to also perform in front of the camera. And that was like an ongoing, I would say, part-time project for like maybe a year and a half. So I actually almost like every few days I would go to a studio with my friends and we would spend there like 4 hours with all the mistakes that I've made, with all the bumps in my speech. So I got a lot I got a lot of chance to train to work also in front of the camera. And yeah, that got me really excited. Then at some point later, I started also working in a presentation design company. So there, I had a chance to also, uh, first of all, host my first TEDx. I was a host of TEDx University, TEDx Kiev Polytechnical University. So it was a university-based TEDx, which was a great experience for only an internship in that company. And then later I took that to actually working with speakers and, working with their presentations, but also working with the content of their speech. Um, with all of that experience, I felt like, okay, I have something to bring to the projects here in Oulu. And I've actually heard about all of these projects in advance. I got in touch with one of the alumni of University of Oulu when I was still in Kiev. And, we had like a Skype call and he told me basically everything that was going on in the startup scene or startup ecosystem of the University of Oulu, like startup weekend, like Telus innovation area, like polar bear pitching. What could I do there? How can I benefit from that? And that got me really excited. So I remember when I came to Finland and I, met like my classmates. I remember telling one of them to like, oh yeah, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to polar bear pitching now, or I'm going to startup weekend, or this is Telus. Oh, I know this, I know that. So I got involved actually in many projects here, and I've started working, not working, but volunteering for the Oulu ES. That's where I had a chance to not only to host events, but also to organize them, which started shifting my interest from not just hosting events and facilitating them, but into the organization of the events. But that's another story. But yeah, also together with that, I started volunteering for polar bear pitching. And first, I was just I don't remember, like maybe a social media marketing volunteer. And I remember in this like first meeting that we had with the at that time the main organizer of the event, she was telling us, well, there's these themes, that we need people in, but also tell us how can you contribute to that. And, I thought to myself, well, this is basically my only chance to maybe try and tell them that, I can be a host. So that was an incredible feeling, of course. And from that, I got an incredible experience of not only hosting the event, but also having a chance to work with a professional production company, working on with the producer, working on the, minute by minute of the event, because it was a live event, you have to know specifically the slots that you're coming in. Then I had in my head the idea that, oh, I want to make it um, as a backstage of the Eurovision, where sometimes they switch to the backstage, or not to the backstage, but where the like competitors are sitting in their couches, and the host is like fun and asking them fun questions, and just like the excitement of the room. So I wanted to create the same feeling, and I hope that I did, because yeah, I tried to engage a lot with I was sitting in the changing room of the startup. So where they would, have sauna, where they could wear their change to robes and etc. So I also brought to them like the big A3 papers, and told them to like write some supportive messages there, or say hello to their moms and families. And I got them to like be excited with me on camera, and shout and scream and enjoy the whole process. So yeah, I think it was a success because I was invited next year to go and to host it as well. So a big experience, and definitely the lesson that I've learned from them is that don't be shy of telling what you can give to other people, and don't be shy to say what you need. Like that was not necessarily maybe my need, but that was something I really wanted. So I think it's really important when you're networking, when you're talking to people, to say, what can you give? What do you want? What would you like to do? So yeah.